Oh, I'm doing great, buddy. Thank you.
It's good to talk to you again. And four-time fighting at the Barclays Center. You're getting spoiled over here, my friend.
Oh, yeah, big time. They love me there. Definitely getting spoiled.
Well, I know it's your second defense of a secondary world title, and you're squaring off against Sergio Mora. That's going to be the PBC on ESPN August 1st, as I already mentioned, at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. And, you know, a lot of people who don't follow the sport every day like I do and some of the big-time boxing fans that we have around here right outside Atlantic City, they don't understand your backstory, how you made an emotional return back in 2012 because you overcame a rare form of bone cancer. And a lot of people don't understand that story. And I know you've been doing some good things as far as with your foundation, but just the fact that you were able to recover and win a belt, a lot of people just really, they don't know mentally how much that takes out of you and how much you have to really give. Talk a little bit about that and that return to the ring.
Well, the return to the ring was probably one of the hardest challenges I've had to face in my life. You know, obviously being paralyzed and, battling bone cancer, and to make that transition from getting better and going through my treatments to actually getting inside the ring, it's one of the hardest things I ever have to deal with. And, like I said, the doctors told me it wasn't possible. So I started to turn everything into an opponent, meaning what the doctors told me and what everyone surrounding me told me I should just stick around and get better and not worry about a future in boxing. I didn't believe it. I believed in myself and my abilities to get better and to accomplish my dreams. And that's what I did. I worked hard and finally got an opportunity to get back and, fight 7 times and all 7 knockouts and eventually to become the first cancer survivor to ever be a world champion. So it's a long journey, but one that I'm very proud of.
Yeah, and of course, Danny Jacobs joining us, used to be dubbed the Golden Child, now the Miracle Man, because the story speaks for itself. As you get set for Sergio Mora, Sergio Mora is look, on paper, a lot of people might believe this is a mismatch because a lot of people, like myself, believe that Mora he's a sound fighter. He's not the same fighter, say, he was in 2008, but we know how this sport operates, and he's been fighting at 160. He's won 5 in a row. The last time out, really close split decision win over AB9. And again, I looked at that fight. This is against a Hun and a late replacement, Danny, and this is, again, a guy that was able to not only use his hand speed, get in some body shots, power shots. They kind of disrupted Sergio's more. If you watch that film, if you watch that tape, what'd you take away from that fight, and what are you going to use? And if you saw some weaknesses or some weak tendencies by Sergio Mora, what would they be that you can use to your advantage?
Regarding that fight with Abi Han, there's a lot of flaws. Yeah, there's a lot of flaws that I think I can take away and that we're actually applying to the game plan that we can use against Sergio Mora. He's a tricky guy, and like I said, anytime that you're fighting for a world championship, you're going to be the best that you can possibly be that particular night. So I'm not going to expect the same Sergio Mora that was in against Abi Han, because obviously mentally and physically you get up for a guy that obviously is probably the best oppositions you faced or as of late, and especially when it's for a world championship. So he's probably going to be at his best, and I'm just looking forward to figuring out the puzzle because he is a slick and awkward, crafty type of guy. So I'm just looking for a very stern test, but nonetheless I look forward to being the victor.
And you're right. I mean, look, you respect any opponent in the ring, and crafty, a veteran guy, a guy that's been around for a while now. And a lot of people think he just got his 15 minutes from winning on the Contender, but he's fought for world titles. He's won a title. Again, I don't know how much you put so much stock in the fact that he had a difficult time against a late replacement. Maybe, again, you're watching film on a guy, and all of a sudden you get that late replacement, and you have to make adjustments in the ring. That's kind of where I think you stand out. I mean, when you look at the division right now, besides yourself, who do you think poses the biggest threat in your division?
Obviously, the main man in my division right now, I would say, would be Triple G.
Yeah.
Other than that, you have the guys like Kodos and a couple other handful of guys. But, it's a blessing to have a really stacked division because, to consider yourself the best, there's great opposition to fight, to be, hopefully one of the pound for pounds in the division.
What you mentioned Triple G, and I know we'll put your commentary hat on for a moment, and then we'll talk a little more about it. But look, he's got the power, but why go down to 168 for a potential fight against Carl Froch and not Ward? I don't.
Right.
To me,
I don't get that one.
Here's my thing, because let's be honest, this on paper, what's going to be the bigger draw? And if Carl's already got 1 foot out the door for retirement, then people are going to look at it as easy money, whereas you're taking a guy where they dub pound for pound the best fighter, even after a 19-month layoff in Andre Ward.
Right. I agree with you. I don't know what's been going on, what the talks has been as far as him actually signing the fight with Froch, but I think if he's going to go to 68, I think he's always said he's wanted to fight the best.
Yeah.
And the best at 68 is Ward, in my opinion. So not sure if that says a lot about him or more so about his team. But, I can't see him getting a victory over Andre Ward.
One more with the analysis hat on, then I want to get back to the fight and obviously your charity. On that card that you'll be fighting on, it's not a bad card. It's a pretty stacked card. I mean, Frankie D'Alba is a Philly kid. He's taking on a good puncher in Delaware, Omar Douglas. Heather Hardy's on that card, good female fighter in New York. Does a lot of stuff under DeBella and whatnot. But you see the Danny Garcia moving up now to 147 against Paulie Malignaggi, and a lot of people, you can attest to this, if you can't make the weight anymore, you can't make the weight anymore. But I think the argument's going to be made for Danny Garcia, where I still think of his and his enigma at times. I don't know which Danny Garcia is going to show up because, on the record, I thought he lost a fight against Herrera and got the benefit of it being in when I say the backyard, had that fight in Puerto Rico. Then you have a situation where you beat a club fighter in Rod Saka. So, there's a lot on the line for Garcia if Paulie pulls a rabbit out of the hat and beats him.
I think any time that you're a champion, you're always going to have scrutiny if you take a loss or, at any rate, at any fighter. With the Herrera fight, it was a very close fight, in my opinion, as well. But he's definitely going to take a lot of criticism because he's already taken criticism his whole career. Danny just has to be himself. And, Paulie is a really good friend of mine as well, and alongside is Danny. So I'm looking forward to this fight because I know the best man will win. And that's all. That's really all it's about at the end of the day, because there's always going to come a time and point in your career where people are going to criticize you. So you just continue to do what you do. I'll
just add one more point to that in regards to Paulie. He doesn't have the punching power, but he can disrupt Garcia's timing with those jabs. And I think sometimes that double jab can be your best friend. And I think if this goes past 4th, 5th, 6th round, maybe you put in a little doubt in your opponent's head, and maybe Danny starts questioning some things, and Paulie makes it interesting. That's why I think on paper it could be a very interesting fight, to say the least. I don't know how much action is going to be in there, but that's just my opinion on that. So. Yeah, no, I'm in agreement with you, and I think the true boxing fans who really know the sport in and out agree with us, and I think that this is not an overly matched fight, even though Paulie Malignaggi lost his last fight to Sean Porter by knockout. I still think that Paulie has the ability to box and disrupt the flow of Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia is a very strong, good counterpuncher, but sometimes he has flaws where he tries to box, and while his opponent is boxing, and he's a little flat-footed. So Paulie is really good at what he does, and Danny is really good at what he do. So I believe the victor will come down to who asserts themselves first and more. Again, a couple minutes with Danny Jacobs, the reigning WBC middleweight champ, again taking on Sergio Mora, second defense of his secondary world title. That'll be August 1st at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. PBC on ESPN. Rich Quinones here. We'll take you up to 2 o'clock. 2 more quickies for you, Danny. Always appreciate a couple moments. Go back to the Mora fight now. And the one thing you mentioned, Sergio's a crafty guy. Is this a fight where you think you might want to build a little equity with some rounds, kind of bank in some rounds early on, and then and I say this with respect to Sergio, and just get some work in. Again, and this is in no way, shape, or form trying. I'm not being disrespectful, but I mean, come on, you know where I'm coming from. It's just sometimes you look at this as an opportunity where you want to get some rounds in. You want to work on a couple things. It's going to be a spirited competitive fight because he's got a ton of heart. He's got a lot of guts, and that's never been questioned. But ultimately, is this a fight where you look, let me bank a couple rounds, and I'll work on some things here?
No, I definitely don't want to get more rounds than I have to. With my last fight was the only fight that I would consider going down the stretch and
right.
to get that experience, to get rounds, and that's exactly what we did. You know, I've proven to myself that I can go 12 full rounds, and once I dock that in, I know I got it in the bank. So now it's about just getting the job done, and you know, we don't get paid for overtime, so if I don't have to go extra rounds, let me get in and get out.
No, you guys certainly don't. How about your charity, Get in the Ring? Is that something that you're still, obviously you're still very active in that? Where's that as we talk on this day? How's that coming along?
It's going along very well. We're actually we just wrapped up a couple of events that we did a couple weeks ago, and we got, you know, with the obesity month coming up and with the cancer awareness month coming up, we got a couple different events that we got coming up down the stretch in October and September. So, but people can just follow out what we're doing on our website. It's getinthering.net. And, you know, they can follow me. They can see exactly what I'm doing with my philanthropy work, and they can, you know, join a ride because, you know, the more help, the merrier, because a lot of these kids need as much help as they can get. So with all my fans, I appreciate all that you do, all that you contribute into my career and to helping me out with some of these kids. But, you know, you can just check that out and just figure out what we're doing so you can see if you want to play a part in this world as well. So thank you.
And everyone can follow Daniel on Twitter, Daniel Jacobs TKO. All I have to say is I had the pleasure of doing the Golden Gloves with you a couple years, and I'll tell you, after that, I was like, if they don't call me back, it's because of Danny.
Right.
now you have a nice little niche in broadcasting, so.
Oh, yeah. That was pretty good. That was my first time, actually.
That's right.
So it was a pleasure.
That's right. I know. After a while, I was like, how many times am I going to step on this guy? Let him talk a little bit. He knows what he's talking about.
Oh, good.
Hey, Danny, I always appreciate a couple moments, my friend. Best of luck against Sergio, and we'll talk along the way.
Thank you very much.
All right, you got it. Take care of yourself. Good stuff there from Danny Jacobs. He's, I'll tell you, he's a real nice guy. You know, Pete, sometimes when you talk to these guys, they respect their opponents.